I think I was reading that, you know, you had somewhat of a near-death experience yourself in a climbing situation. So is that what sort of stood out to you when you were reading the script and made you decide to get on board the project?
It really was. So I nearly died some years back now. And so it's got to be about 10 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago. So I was snowboarding and I was going off piste with my brother, and all of a sudden came through the trees, and then the whole world just literally disappeared. It just went white out, and then I went completely down, and I could have tumbled, you know, to the ground, but I was stuck about, it was getting up we think about 700 and something feet up, but it was enough to kill you 10 times over, you know, even at 10% of that height. And I really thought I was going to die. I mean, I knew I was going to die. I know I didn't, but actually I 100% believed it, not 99%. I just thought it was, yeah, I was about to go. Anyway, long story short, I didn't. After crazy, I think it was 7 hours in the end, no food or water, made it out. But what was weird about it was so peaceful. It was beautiful. So I was going to die this serene and silent, beautiful death. So when I got the script and I started reading, and she goes up the mountain, and then I thought, yeah, I mean, maybe I just have to do this, you know. It's not about my death, but it was just my death, my near death. But, you know, I felt I had to do it for that reason, yeah.
I mean, I guess, did that help when you were directing Brittany? You know, were you able to sort of say, well, you know, I was in this sort of position, so if you need me?
Yeah, a little, not as much as you might think, really, weirdly. It was, I think it was my personal motivation and for the moments of serenity up there, but we spoke about it only in the read-through. It was like about 2 days before we started shooting. And then somewhere in the read-through, I think I just mentioned, oh, by the way, I nearly died. And she was like, what? You know, Brittany and Ben were like, well, tell me more. So I then told them the sort of full story. And they were very interested. But we didn't use it as much as I thought, because I guess I was on the mountain alone. You know, I wasn't a witness to a grisly murder, and I didn't have 4 guys trying to kill me at every opportune moment. So it was a different scenario. I think it helped internally for me.
Yeah. I mean, Kelly is a very physically demanding role. You know, she's almost like Sarah Connor Terminator 2 levels of sort of like survivalist, survivalist skills and grit. You know, what was it about Brittany that, you know, told you that she was Kelly?
Yes, well, actually, the physicality was definitely a part of it. I'd met Brittany about a year, and I think probably a year and a half before we shot the film. It was a brief, like a half an hour meeting in London, and we felt she was good for the role back then. And it was having the physical ability was a huge part of it, actually. And she's brilliantly talented actor, and has that. And she does she's doing a bit of climbing to sort of get into it. So she's not a climber per se, but leading up to the film, she took it upon herself. So good on her for that, to just, you know, go for it, do some climbing. In fact, I called her at some point, and she was there doing some stuff, sent me a few pictures of like her on a climbing wall and things like this, which was great. Tough role for her, because, you know, trying to put myself in her shoes, you know, it was sort of a weird one between us, because even if you're not at thousands of feet in reality, she's still up high, at a dangerous height, like constantly. And it was quite hard. It was quite hard for us to communicate. So I think we both, to be fair, had our frustrations in that, I think, because, you know, I'm down there, she's up there. The actual communication between us was sometimes hard to do, to deal with the subtleties. So we were both having our own strange journey, I think.
Yeah. And one of the things that really stuck out to me as being quite important is the dynamic of the male characters. I guess it would have been easy for them all to be very gung-ho about, you know, trying to get rid of this inconvenience, but that's not really the case. It's like some of the men, you could argue, are victims of Joshua as much as Kelly and her friend. You know, granted, you know, I think some of that is through their own cowardice. I mean, why did you feel it was important to show these different facets of masculinity?
Yeah, I felt it was important to, and I think Tom Boyle, the writer, had wanted to, and we discussed it about that, having their relationships gradually unfold, because it turns out, firstly, we had to get it that it was believable enough that these guys might want to come on holiday together, because let's face it, as Josh goes on, he gets so psychopathic. We're like, why does anyone want to go on holiday with Josh? This is you know. So we wanted, okay, he's got to at least have some fun elements to him, or be a bit out there, a bit of a laugh in one way, but then complete that sort of gradually unfolds. And I felt also I liked the backstory. And I wanted to make a little more of this, but situations you can't always do everything you want. But because these guys had a dark secret from the past, they'd done something already, and they'd actually put someone in a position where, as one of them, as Reynolds puts it, has to suck food up through a straw, all because of what we did to him. So some backstory that which all the sort of darkness gradually comes out of them. But really, at the beginning, you don't really know. It feels like maybe one of them is going to emerge as a hero. I don't want to give too much away, but things are not exactly going to go as they seem. I don't know if I've answered your question, but that was my feeling on it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, The Ledge has these great sort of, anxiety-inducing, moments up on the mountain. Were there any films that sort of informed the visual style? I mean, I'm guessing maybe Free Solo.
Yeah, I had looked at, I had watched Free Solo, which I thought was amazing, just incredible. That was done for real, and in noting that there needed to be moments of serenity. The weird thing is about climbing and climbers, it's almost like they go into almost like a meditative state. So on the one hand, I wanted to make a film with a lot of action, but also climbing, strangely, is not actually action. That's the weird thing about it. You can run and jump, and things on the ground can be action worthy, but climbing is something that one has to do slowly. So it was important to reference films like that and to go, well, actually, we really need some of these moments just to breathe. Let's just have Kelly silently making her journey up. So there is some of that. And so that was one of the, in fact, I looked at some online climbing videos, watched Free Solo, but I didn't watch any other sort of climbing movies. But I was a fan of the original Cliffhanger. I mean, it was a great movie, but that's not really what this is. And I'm really pleased we were able to do another female-driven, female-centric driven film where she is a strong character, and that emerges more and more as time goes on, I hope.
Yeah, and for me, it's a sort of like horror thriller that I can get on board with, because I'm not a very sporty person, and this just sort of reaffirms why I shouldn't be a sporty person. Never going to find myself in that predicament. So it's quite, you get one of those. But I guess sort of the Ledge was a long time in the pipeline. I think you were sort of finally just about to get underway, and then the pandemic struck. I think it was during that delay that you decided, let's make something else. I think you were a one-man, camera crew for the lockdown hauntings. What was it like then when you suddenly finally do get on set and there's suddenly more than just you and a camera?
It was very, really good question, because it was like that. When I remember saying to Fred, the producer, I said, it seems like we're not going to go in the next month or 6 weeks. He said, no, unfortunately it won't be. We have to wait. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be unavailable for next month. I'm going to go and make this film. And then, making the lockdown haunted, because I had no crew at all, but I was still trying to do all the tracking and the Steadicam and all these type of things. And then going from that to The Ledge, which had a fantastic crew, really fantastic team from Red Production in Serbia. 64 crew members, I think. It took me several minutes to walk past the vehicles in the morning to get to the foot of the mountain. Totally different experience. They were wonderful, but I did have to, in the morning, I was like, I just want to get the camera, I just want to move it, I just want to shoot. Because my policy with the lockdown hauntings was, I arrive at the actor's house, because generally the actor's house was the location. There was no location scout. That's where I could film. And within 20 minutes of arriving, I wanted to have done a shot. And 90% of the time I managed that. Took a lot longer with The Ledge because there were so many other things, and of course the safety issues. We want to keep everyone safe, absolutely. So there were so many things like that. We had to be careful, because it wasn't just the actors on the, going up the rock face. A rock can fall and actually, from height, and that's done in for the crew, cast, whomever. So there were all sorts of things like that to consider on top of the obvious. stuff. And so it was a very different experience. So it was, you know, one thing, but it was great though. Working with a fantastic crew and these huge crane arms and all of this type of stuff was fantastic. But with the lockdown hauntings, I made up the whole thing, so I had as much time as I wanted. I would have loved more time on the ledge, but hey, you can't have everything.
Like, you know, you're about to start production on your next project. Is there anything that you can share about that one?
I can give you the title, which is Russian Roulette, which is nothing to do with what's going on in the world right now at all. This has been in development for some time, and it's a really, what I can say, it's a highly brutal thriller, and it does have elements of horror. A little bit Seven meets Saw. Let's go as far as that. I'm probably not allowed to say any more. I may get my wrist slapped, but that's happening. There'll be more news coming out soon. I can update you very quickly on that as soon as I'm allowed. We've got some exciting casts coming aboard, people you'll know, but I can't even say who they are right now. Yeah, but I'm really excited. It's all systems go. Like even today, you know, all departments, it's just one thing to the other. We're all galvanizing to start on Monday. Just literally, I've come back from Fright Fest. I've got to go straight down to the set. I can't go home, so I've got to go straight from Glasgow to the set.
It'd be an early night at the bar then.
Do you know what I mean? I've got to keep an eye on that. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know, you are about to screen at Fright Fest, and then the film's going to be released, you know, in the very near future. You know, what are you hoping that the audience sort of experience when they sit down with the ledge?
Yeah, but I have to say, I really love, and that's why I made films, to sit in a darkened room, you know, not to watch them on a laptop or a mobile phone, jigging around on a train. But so, yes, I love the Fright Fest crowds and the Fright Fest organisers. It's always great to be there. So I'm really, really pleased to be back. And I just want to see it. I kind of want to see it myself on a, you know, in a full audience, in a darkened room, how it's meant to be, you know, with the sound right and the picture right. Because to be honest, the way I've shot it is a little bit old school adventure film in some of the shots that are meant to be, you know, widescreen shots. It is a widescreen film, and you know, on a mountain, and we've got camera moves that I think will be effective on the big screen. So I just want to get in there with that energy of a real crowd and meet the people and be able to thank those for choosing to watch the film and supporting all my films, because without those audiences, you know, I couldn't do anything. You know, none of us cast, none of us crew would be doing anything if we didn't have these people in that room. So, you know, I'm highly grateful and excited. Well,
I wish you best of luck with the screening, release and the production. And I'll hopefully speak to you again when you're allowed to speak about that one.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to that. And thanks as always, Kat. You know, really was a pleasure to speak. And thanks to you and to anyone who watches The Ledge. Please check it out. And give us a vote on IMDb if you fancy, if you like it. Even if you don't, just do it.